morning, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amanda, will you call the roll?
Trustee Messick?
Here.
Trustee Rocco?
Here.
Trustee Sheehan?
Here.
Trustee Casera?
Here.
Trustee Lautner is absent. Trustee Zora?
Here.
President DeCipio?
Here.
Quorum is present.
Thank you, Amanda. That will be Amanda's last roll call as village clerk. Well done, Amanda. Public participation. Anyone care to address the board about agenda-related items only? Seeing none, we'll move on to consent agenda. Amanda?
The items on this evening's consent agenda are as follows. Approval of minutes, strategic planning meeting, March 20th, 2019. Village board meeting, March 26th, 2019. Executive session meeting, March 26th, 2019. Work session meeting, April 9th, 2019. Executive session meeting, April 9th, 2019. B, action 31st LaGrange Road water main design work, soil borings, motion to authorize the village manager to execute the contract documents with True North Consultants in the amount of $11,880 for soil boring testing and reporting. C, action resolution approving fiscal year 2019-2020 pay plan, motion to approve a resolution approving pay plan and schedule of authorized positions for fiscal year 2019-20. D, action fiscal year 2019 police pension contribution, motion to approve a contribution not to exceed $30,000 to the police pension fund for fiscal year 2019. E, action motion to authorize the president and chairperson of the finance committee to sign the register for bills and authorize the treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills itemized in the check registers. F, motion to authorize the village treasurer and village clerk to sign checks in the payment of payroll and other bills that become due between this date and May 28th, 2019, with subsequent approval of the payroll register and voucher register by the Board of Trustees at its regular meeting to be held on May 28th, 2019.
Motion to approve the consent agenda is presented.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Amanda. Village Manager's report. Julia?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just one item to report. Just a reminder that we are hosting a ribbon cutting event for Bishop's Cuts and Color for Friday, May 3rd at 4 p.m. So come one, come all. That's all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. Moving on, Administration Committee, in lieu of Trustee Lautner being away, Trustee Sheehan, would you do his report, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. The village is pleased to announce that it has scheduled the annual Community Volunteer Day for Saturday, May 4th from 9 a.m. till noon. During the event, community volunteers provide assistance to seniors in the community who need help with basic lawn care and spring cleanup chores. Village residents who are interested in volunteering are encouraged to get involved with this worthwhile projects. Residents in need of assistance are encouraged to contact the village to volunteer or to request assistance at 354-0225 or email Sandy Bacalich at sbacalich@lagrangepark.org. National Drug Take-Back Day. The Village of LaGrange Park Police Department, in coordination with the DEA, will host a National Drug Take-Back Day on Saturday, April 27th from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. This program offers a safe, convenient, and responsible means of disposing of unwanted or expired medications. Please note, only drugs in pill form will be accepted, no liquids. Please empty all drugs from their original containers, bottles, or blister packs and place in a sealed baggie for drop-off. Can't make it April 27th? A permanent drop-off box is located in our Village Hall lobby with drop-off access available during regular business hours from 8:30 a.m. till 5, Monday through Friday. Youth Commission. The village is accepting application from interested teens to serve on the village's Youth Commission. The Youth Commission is comprised of 10 young people in grades 7 through 12. Commissioners serve 1 or 2-year terms beginning of September each year. Individuals interested in serving must complete an application and send it to the village no later than June 30th. For more information, please visit the village website at www.lagrangepark.org or call Village Hall. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. Moving on, Building and Zoning Committee, Trustee Zora.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to report the building department activities for March of 2019. 48 building permits were issued in March compared to 121 last March. 97 permits have been issued year-to-date compared to 183 in 2018. Estimated construction costs for the month were about 50% lower compared to last March. Permit fees collected for the month were only about 42% compared to last March. 76 inspections were conducted this March compared to 115 last. 6 were not approved. The permit for interior remodeling for Generations Dental was issued. Staff met with the owner of New Bangs Beauty Bar to discuss some minor remodeling work that had to take place prior to opening. Staff hosted a meeting with a group of residents regarding a substantial rear yard flooding problem. Staff participated in meetings with Brook Park project manager to discuss inspections for fire sprinklers, alarm, and fire stopping at the school, and also conducted some fire stopping inspections throughout the month. The new Bishop's cut and color was completed and has received final approval on inspections. I have one item that's for discussion and action. At the April 9th, 2019 Village Board work session, the Village Board discussed a request from Plymouth Place to allow the keeping of bees on their property. Section 92.032 of the Village Code specifically prohibits the keeping of bees. However, the Village Board may grant authority to allow the temporary keeping of bees under Section 193.195 of the Zoning Code, which addresses temporary uses and structures. As Plymouth Place would like the beehive for both educational and environmental purposes, they are requesting the Village Board grant them a temporary use permit for a period of 10 months to allow them to install and keep bees on their property. Staff recommends granting Plymouth Place a temporary use permit to allow the keeping of up to 1,500 bees and 1 flow hive on their property from April 15th, 2019 through November 15th, 2019, following the expiration of the temporary use permit. The Village Board may desire to review the Village Code with regard to beekeeping to determine if any modifications are warranted. I'd like to make a motion to approve a temporary use permit for Plymouth Place located at 315 North Grange Road to allow for beekeeping of up to 1,500 bees and 1 flow hive from April 15th, 2019 through November 15th, 2019.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Trustee Zora.
Thank you. And we had a brief discussion about this at the last meeting, and I'm definitely in favor of this. I think the temporary use permit is a good idea to see how this goes, but I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Any comments from the board? Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Kucera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's all I have.
Thank you, Trustee Zora. Engineering Capital Projects Committee, Trustee Kucera.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I have 4 items to report on for the summer report for March of 2019. On March 5th, the village publicly opened sealed bids for construction work on the 2019 street paving program. 11 firms submitted bids, and the low responsible bidder was Nardo Concrete. At the March 26th Village Board meeting, a contract was awarded to Nardo Concrete in the amount of $1,675,855.50. Work on the project is anticipated to begin in May, and all construction activities are expected to be completed by late fall. The second item is the final design for the 2019 sewer repair project was completed and is currently out to bid. The project consists of repair work identified through the 2019 sewer cleaning and televising program, and the work is done in advance of the 2019 street paving program. The bid results will be brought back to the Village Board for their consideration in April. The final documentation process for the Harding Avenue and Sherwood Road resurfacing project is almost complete. All documents and material inspection reports have been submitted to the Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, for review and processing. It is expected that this activity will take IDOT 6 months to complete. The final item, design work continues on the Raymond Water Main Replacement Project. This project is expected to be out for bid in late April, with the results brought back to the Village Board for discussion and possible action in May. In order to minimize disruption to the area, contract documents will require that the bulk of the improvements in front of the schools be constructed during summer break. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Casera. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Messick.
Thank you, Mr. President. We will start with the monthly report through March of 2019. We'll start with the PD. Total crimes reported are slightly lower than last year, with 76 incidents reported through March of 2019 compared to 84 through the same time frame last year. Traffic enforcement is at 1,164 total tickets through March of this year. Overall police activity is slightly higher than last year, with 2,233 total incidents reported through March of this year compared to 2,173 last year. Foot Patrol Walk and Talk program will begin with all shifts on May 1st and continue through October 1st, weather permitting. This program is something all patrol staff will complete each shift, including the chief. Adopt a Cop program will conclude for this school year at the end of May. This is the 20th year of this award-winning school-based program. Please be aware with the warmer months ahead to always secure one's personal property. Lock your homes and vehicles, especially during the overnight hours, to deter from any crime of opportunity. Also, if you're leaving town for an extended period of time, and you can call the patrol staff to extend an extra watch at your residence when you are away. Upon return, please come into the department and sign your card so the watch can be properly completed. That concludes the police department report, and on to the fire department for March of 2019. EMS incidents this month were 107. There have been 365 year-to-date compared to 418 last year. Fire rescue incidents this month were 34. There have been 146 year-to-date compared to 112 last year. Annual inspections and maintenance took place in the month of March of various pieces of equipment. This included our hydraulic rescue tool systems, stretchers, and self-contained breathing apparatus. Although we regularly use and inspect this equipment, the annual service is done by third-party outside agencies specifically trained and certified in such. As part of this month's training, firefighters conducted pre-fire planning surveys and building familiarization walkthroughs of St. Louis and the YMCA. Various repairs to apparatus were conducted during the month, including repairing the light tower and replacing the fuel tank on engine 1221, replacing a pinion seal on the rear axle of engine 1222, and replacing the batteries in ambulance 1214. Our contract paramedic coordinator attended rescue task force training and exercises at LTHS North Campus. And in addition, the fire chief attended an active shooter threat command level workshop at the Chicago Fire Academy. Staff conducted various fire sprinkler inspections at CSJ, Brook Park School, and 23 Richmond. And that concludes the fire department and public safety report. There are no action items.
Thank you, Trustee Messick. Public Works Committee, Trustee Sheehan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Snow operations were able to take a rest in March with only 2 small snow events. These events were monitored by staff, and due to warmer pavement temperatures, Public Works was able to avoid salting streets without compromising public safety. This saved equipment usage, manpower, and allowed us to conserve our salt usage. 115 day shift hours were spent on the maintenance of Public Works equipment and vehicles. 145 hours were spent filling potholes, patching water excavations with approximately 11 tons of asphalt. 175 and a half day shift hours were spent on building and ground maintenance around the Public Works facility, Village Hall, and along 31st Street. Tree maintenance in March spent 69 and a half hours trimming and removing declining trees. Public Works trimmed and removed unwanted vegetation at the Woodside Lift Station around above utility lines and fence lines, resulting in a safe and pleasant appearance. 23 hours were spent inspecting trees and reviewing tree planting sites to maintain our urban forest. Street sweeping returned after a long winter, spending 88 day shift hours cleaning 233 miles of roadway. 54 yards of debris were collected, making multiple passes through town. Public Works Foreman John Jandak attended the Illinois Section WaterCon conference to gain education in new regulations, technology, and other various information for the water industry. John also played in a charity hockey game with Isawa Water Hammer team and was a judge in the hydrant hysteria competition. A fall protection inspection was conducted by IRMA throughout all the village's buildings and equipment. Director Rick Ratty and Foreman John Jandik attended the work truck show in Indianapolis to gain knowledge and seed new leading technology to improve the public works fleet for the future. Lakeshore Recycling utilized part of the village's public works facility to distribute new garbage containers to residents during the transfer of waste haulers. Work orders were completed with crews removing roadkill, making sign repairs, and attending to residents' concerns. Water Department operation, over 266 day shift hours and 5 overtime hours during the month of March were spent on maintenance and repair of sewer and water mains. 30,890,000 gallons of water were purchased from the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission. 1,332 water meters were read in Section 3. 55 monthly accounts and 16 final meter readings were taken. Various inspections, appointments, and service calls were performed. 5 water and sewer inspections, 16 meter appointments, and 25 service calls were performed. 15 water bacterial samples were taken along with UCMR4 samples. 113 utility locations were identified prior to excavations. Water shutoffs were performed. 4 valve boxes and 1 water service line were repaired. And Mr. President, if I may, since Director Ratty's not here and Mr. Janik has joined us for tonight's meeting, again, I express, I'm sure, all of our appreciation for the hard work and dedication that you guys did for our village over the winter. It was hard, not an easy schedule, 7 days, multiple call-outs. Again, much appreciated. Our roads looked very good this winter, and for that, I thank you, sir, and your staff. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee Sheehan. I like the way Mr. Janzek's dressed tonight, too, so I think we dressed together, both of us. Welcome, John. Finance Committee, Trustee Rocco.
Thank you, Mr. President. So we are completed 11 months, or 92% of the fiscal 2019 year. To date, the general fund is at 98% of the annual budget and about $466,000 higher than the prior year. Property tax revenue is 3.5%, or about $120,000 greater than last year. Sales tax receipts are 13.4% higher than last year, while telecommunication taxes are down by 8.1%. Intergovernmental revenue is up about 7.5% compared to last year, with income tax receipts 6.4% higher than last year, and state use tax 14.3% higher than last year. Permanent revenue is down about 9.2%, or $33,000. Miscellaneous revenue is about $193,000 greater than last year, due primarily to the increase in tower lease fees, interest income, and Net West radio system member reimbursements. Total general fund expenditures are within expectations at 90% of the annual budget and about $318,000 greater than last year. And I have a few items, action items, Mr. President. So just as a little background, the Finance Committee had met on March 12th and March 26th to review the draft budget and a 5-year plan, and there were recommended changes because, well, first, the Grange Road water project that was originally planned, NICOR needs to do some work, so we needed to move to do something different and hold off on that. And so we had eliminated that portion, and we've added the LaGrange Work project for engineering. We added the Raymond Water project for engineering and construction. Sewer point repairs, there were no funds spent last year, and so we are spending for road work that we're doing, $124,500 in construction. Public Works truck that was rebudgeted because we weren't able to get the order in time this year, so we rebudgeted, so we'll get it next year. Fiber network project, this was new and we added this. So this is our 5-year plan it was amended to align with these changes. So our next steps were that on April 9th, we had a budget hearing at 7:15. It was open to the public. The village board at that work session, we discussed the proposed budget, and we are anticipating action this evening. So the first one is I move to approve a resolution approving the fiscal year 2019-2020 operating budget.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Trustee Rocco?
As we know, we've gone into great detail. Manager Sadeo, she did a wonderful job doing a presentation at the April 15th meeting, the April 9th work session. And everything lines up and makes sense.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Sarah?
Yes.
Trustee Lautner? Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And on that note, I move to approve the 5-year plan for fiscal year 2019-2020 through 2023 and 2024.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Trustee Rocco?
Thank you, Ms. President. For the same reasons, we've gone through a lot of discussion with this. A presentation was done at the April 9th board meeting, and the board went into discussion. No reason to not approve it.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And thank you. And the second item I have is to approve an amendment to the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. Village policy requires that the village board amend the annual budget if the total expenditures for a department or fund will exceed the approved budget. State statute authorizes the village to revise the budget by two-thirds vote. The following amendments are proposed. The general fund fire department budget requires a $63,040 increase due to higher than anticipated personnel costs associated with fire calls and training. The village market tax increment financing and business district funds require amendments of $18,000 each for the redevelopment study of the former Pancake House property. The 31st Barnsdale tax increment financing and business district funds require amendments of $18,000 each for the completion of water and sewer infrastructure projects approved by the village board as part of the restaurant development agreement. The village board has approved these amendments at the April 9th work session and was in agreement to include these amendments for approval at tonight's meeting. Staff recommends the village board approve this amendment resolution at tonight's meeting. I move to approve a resolution amending the fiscal year 2018-2019 budget.
Second.
Motion is second. Discussion. Trustee Rocco?
Thank you, Mr. President. All these items we have previously approved and agreed upon. We're just following statute and making sure that our budget lines up at the end of the year.
Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And one more item, Mr. President. It's approving the 2019 water and sewer rate ordinance. Baxter and Woodman completed a water and sewer rate study for the village in 2017. The purpose of the study was to review the long-term operation and infrastructure requirements of the village's water and sewer systems and provide rate options that will provide the necessary funding. Baxter and Woodman presented the study results and the board discussed the rate alternatives during the summer of 2017. Following the discussion, the board indicated support for the alternate A rate option, which provides sufficient funding to maintain and replace current water and sewer infrastructure on a pay-as-you-go basis. The fiscal year 2019-20 water fund and sewer fund budgets were prepared based on the alternate A rate plan included in the rate study. The alternate A plan increases the village's water rate from $10 to $11.50 per 100 cubic feet and increases the village's sewer rate from $2.75 to $2.95 per 100 cubic feet. The quarterly combined water and sewer bill for the typical resident usage of 1,400 cubic feet will increase $23.80 from $178.50 to $202.30. The minimum quarterly water and sewer bill based on 600 cubic feet will increase $10.20 from $76.50 to $86.70. The village has reviewed these proposed rates at the work session, April 9th work session, and were in agreement to include, or wasn't, to the rate ordinance on tonight's meeting. Staff has presented an ordinance to increase the water and sewer rates effective June 2019. It's proposed by alternate A option of the rate study. The rate increases would coincide with the Brookfield North Riverside Water Commission rate increase. Staff recommends the village board consider approving the ordinance at tonight's meeting. I move to approve an ordinance amending the Village of Grange Park's municipal code establishing water and sewer rates.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion, trustee Rocco.
This is something that we need to do. In order to keep and maintain our infrastructure, and there was a lot of study and a lot of thought that went into this, and our plan is there's no reason for us to continue each year to move forward with how we have planned this alternate A rate option.
Any other comments from the board? Seeing none, Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
And that concludes my report and my action items, but if I could indulge and just take a second or a moment, I just would like to thank the residents of LaGrange Park for allowing me to serve as your trustee for the past 8 years. I've truly enjoyed it. I just want you to know that you have an excellent board up here. You have excellent staff, and I have to give an extra shout out to Larry Noller, the finance director. It's been a pleasure working with you, Larry. You've made my job as finance chair incredibly easy, and I thank you for that. And thank you for the village, and thank you, staff. And thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Rocco. Other reports, village clerk,
And the trustee.
I have nothing to report, Mr. President.
our village treasurer. Commercial revitalization, trustee Casera.
Thank you, Mr. President. This evening, I have two items to report on. Staff continues to working with the owner and property manager of the 7-Eleven Strip Center regarding their reinvestment plans and a potential financial incentive to install a fire sprinkler system in the vacant tenant spaces. Second item, SB Friedman Development Advisors has nearly completed the market analysis and residual land analysis on the Pancake House property. They will present the findings of the analysis at the May 14th Village Board work session. That concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, trustee Casera. Village engineer? No report, Mr. President. Our village attorney?
No report, Mr. President.
Committee and collectors reports, motion to approve.
So,
Motion to approve.
so moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. My report, the drive down is May 8th. We have 7 individuals from our village going down, which is great representation. Our next meeting, May 14th, we'll have our installation of our new trustees. And at this point, I'd like to speak, for the whole board. Trustee Rocco, it's been a privilege to serve with you. The last 8 years, you bring a wealth of information to the board. All of the accomplishments we made as a board in total were a lot due to your diligence and hard work, and I appreciate everything you've done for our village. Our residents should be very, very grateful for all that you've done.
Thank you, Mr. President, and it's been such a pleasure serving on this board. Every board member has been wonderful to work with. I've really enjoyed my time here. Thank you.
We will certainly miss you. Okay, I will be handing out committee assignments for the board. You'll be receiving those shortly. Also, if anyone would care to change their seating position on the board, dais, this would be the opportune time to do that, so please let me know. Now just sit back and enjoy, because I've got 5 proclamations to read. So if you'd care to get some popcorn or a drink or two, here we go. Arbor Day 2019. Whereas in 1872, Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. Whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. Whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. Whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. Whereas trees in LaGrange Park increase property values and hence the economic vitality of business areas and beautify our community. Whereas the village of LaGrange Park has been designated a Tree City USA for 32 years by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Therefore, be it proclaimed that the village of LaGrange Park proclaims Friday, April 26, 2019 as Arbor Day. The next proclamation before I read, cake and coffee for Patty will be on May 14th before our work session. So Patty, make sure you're here. To cut the cake. Aging Well Month, May 2019 proclamation. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park includes a growing number of older Americans who enrich our community through the diverse life experiences. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park is committed to strengthening our community by connecting with and supporting older adults, their families, and caregivers, and acknowledging their many valuable contributions to society. Whereas Village of LaGrange Park recognizes the importance of bringing together all generations and engaging in activities that promote physical, mental, emotional well-being for the benefit of all. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park can enhance the lives of older Americans in our community by promoting home and community-based services that support independent living, involving older adults in community events and other activities, and providing opportunities for older adults to work, volunteer, learn, lead, and mentor. Therefore, be it proclaimed, the Village of LaGrange Park does hereby proclaim the month of May to be Aging Well Month and encourages all residents of LaGrange Park to take time to honor our older adults, recognize their crucial contributions and experiences, and to thank the professionals, family members, and volunteers who assist many of them in their ability to continue to be involved in our community. Our recognition and consideration of older Americans can enrich our entire village's quality of life. Building Safety Month, May International Code Council proclamation. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic values of our homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens, both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. Whereas the Village of LaGrange Park Building Department issued over 1,000 building permits and conducted nearly 1,400 inspections over the last calendar year. Whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our community's largely unknown guardians of public safety, our local code officials, who assure us of a safe, efficient, and livable buildings that are essential to keep America safe. Whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and other in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas no code, no confidence, the theme for Building Safety Month 2019 encourages all Americans to raise awareness of the importance of building codes, and along with a strong system of code enforcement, ensures that the individuals and communities are safe in the buildings where they live, work, and play. Codes build confidence. As we face disasters on an unprecedented scale, from hurricanes and tornadoes to wildfires and earthquakes, building codes become increasingly important to the safety, health, and well-being of our families and our communities. Therefore, be it proclaimed, the Village of LaGrange Park proclaims May 2019 as Building Safety Month. EMS Strong Beyond the Call, National Emergency Medical Services Week, May 19th to the 25th, 2019. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, whereas the access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, whereas the Village of LaGrange Park provides a community-based EMS system comprised of well-equipped, well-prepared, and dedicated paramedics, emergency medical technicians, firefighters, and police officers, whereas the Village of LaGrange Park EMS are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whereas the Village of LaGrange Park EMS responded to over 1,600 calls for assistance during the last calendar year, whereas for many in EMS, the sense of responsibility to care for the community does not end when the shift does. EMS means more than dedication to duty and life-saving patient care. EMS is also community care that takes time, energy, and heart far beyond the scope of one's everyday calling. Therefore, be it proclaimed that May 19 to the 25th, 2019 is recognized as National Emergency Medical Services Week. And proclamation, the 50th anniversary of Municipal Clerks Week, May 5th through the 11th, 2019. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk is the oldest among public servants. Whereas the office of the municipal clerk provides a professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all levels. whereas municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, whereas the municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, country, and international professional organizations. Whereas it's most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the municipal clerk. Therefore, the village be it proclaimed the Village of LaGrange Park recognized the week of May 5th through May 11th, 2019 as Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our municipal clerk, Amanda Seidel, and to all municipal clerks for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. And we do want to dedicate this to you, Amanda, who has been exemplary as your position of our clerk for the last many, many years. So thank you for all that you've done. Okay. Public participation of non-agenda related items. Anyone care to address the board? We have a student here from Lyons Township who is working on a project, and I hope we've entertained you tonight and given you some information. And I forgot your name. I'm sorry. Jack, thank you for being here. And if there's anything you need, we have our village manager, assistant village manager, all our department heads, our board at your service. Thank you. Any new business? Seeing none, Trustee Messick, would you make a motion to move into executive session?
I move that we move into executive. I make a motion, we move to executive session for the purpose of discussing the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body in accordance with 5 ILCS 120/2 C1, not to resume open session until our next regularly scheduled meeting, May 14th, 2019.
Second.
A motion is second. Amanda, call the roll.
Trustee Messick?
Yes.
Trustee Rocco?
Yes.
Trustee Sheehan?
Yes.
Trustee Casera?
Yes.
Trustee Zora?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
We will move into executive session.